Hi, I'm Stephanie, and this is Texas Peach Knits. Welcome to the February wrap-up for Texas Peach Knits. I have a lot to share with you today, including 5 finished objects, several works in progress, and some numbers from my knitting last year. So I'm going to start with some finished objects, and I will share all of my number crunching for the end. So if you're not interested in hearing about how much yarn I brought in and how much yarn I used in the last calendar year, you don't have to stay for that bit. The first project that I finished between my last episode and today was the Preston Pullover by Kathryn Folkerth. I knitted the largest size of this pattern. It was a boy's size 10, and I used Hobby Lobby I Love This yarn in dark olive. I used both needles US size 4 for the ribbing and 6 for the sweater. My son has worn this to death already, and it has pilled quite a bit, but I'm going to show you the way it is, and he absolutely adores it. I will share a picture of him wearing it when it still looked brand new, and you can see it the way it looks after it's been worn repeatedly and run through the washer and the dryer at least 3 times. So this is the finished Preston pullover. It is a shawl collar sweater, and the collar does fold back. Now in the pattern it shows a button that you could put a button here, but I haven't really felt the need to do that because I don't feel like it's open too wide or too gappy or anything like that. It has a nice knit purl design, kind of a gamesy design on the top and on the back. And it was knit in pieces from the bottom up and pieced together. The shawl collar was picked up last from around the outside, and then it was sewn down in the front. So I think the last time I showed it, I had a huge gaping hole right here, and I was a little interested to see if the shawl collar would fill it up enough, and it really has. It's done a good job. So like I said, he has worn this a ton. I don't know if you can see all the pilling, but I find that Hobby Lobby I Love This yarn, it pills a whole lot, and then it's like it finishes pilling, and it's nice, it's great. And I honestly, for boy sweaters where they're going to be running around outside, wearing them every single day, throwing them in their laundry with whatever is in the laundry, this is a really great yarn because I don't have to worry about it at all, and they don't have to be stressed about wearing their sweater. They can just wear it and live their lives. So one of the challenging things for me with this was the set-in sleeves. And one of them set in a lot better than the other one. I think this side set in a lot neater for me, and I don't really know why. I don't know if I did extra rows on this side, but it just set in better for me. So I'll stand up and show you the whole sweater. All right, so this is the whole sweater. Man, my sun is really sunny today. And as you can see, it's quite good size. This is going to fit him for several years. And some of the places where I sewed in ends like the end that I cut it has already wiggled its way out, so I have to go back in and clip those a little bit. But overall, very happy with how this turned out. It's definitely large enough. And I would say my son is a pretty average 10-year-old. So yeah, so it fits him on the big side for sure. All right, so the next project I finished was the baby kit cardigan for Liv. This was in progress the last time, and I was knitting it out of Patons Kroy sock yarn. I am knitting it out of the Patons Kroy Plum purple colorway, and also this Regia Baby Smiles. So this is my first Regia, and it is color number 01815. But I believe I purchased this from the Little Knits online store. They occasionally have discounted sock yarn, baby sock yarn. These are so cute. They're only 25 grams. So, but as you see, this was 25 grams, and I maybe used half of it for this cardigan, and I will show you the cardigan. So in the pattern, it had you rotate colors, so you could use like scraps and do stripes, but I found that using the variegated worked just as well, and I didn't have as many ends to weave in. So I haven't put buttons on it yet, and I believe I knit the 3 to 6 month size. It's so cute. It could definitely use buttons to like hold this front part together, right? So, but this was the first time that I knit the whole body of the sweater top down, and then you picked up not only the button bands, but you went around these edges. You went around the corner and you picked up across the whole bottom and then up the other side. So on the bottom, you left the stitches live. So you weren't exactly picking up the bottom stitches, you were just putting them back on your needle, but you did have to pick up in order. So, and I thought it worked out pretty well. The hardest thing with button bands is if you pick up too many stitches, and this is almost too many. See how it kind of flares out? You really want to pick up like just enough. So I have a little bit of a flare out, and this is a little bigger than like the body of the sweater. But I'm hoping once I put the buttons on and block it together, maybe that will work out better. So it has the little garter on the sleeves, garter on the bottom, and this used 2 balls of Patons Kroy and about half of one of these Regia Smiles. So if you had a skein of sock yarn and some, you know, like a mini, you could make this. So yeah, I thought it turned out really cute, and it was from a book. So it was from the Sweet Pickles book, 27 Adorable Knits for Babies, but I believe you can still buy the pattern just by itself on Ravelry. All right, so then I knit a beloved bonnet, and I already gave it away, but I'll share a picture. And I knit the smallest size, I believe, and I used this French lilac color. So it's kind of a dusty purple color. It almost looks gray, but in certain lights you can really tell it's purple, and actually kind of similar. This one's more blue. But so that was for my goddaughter, and it was so cold. I wanted to get it done and give it to her so she could wear it. And I really enjoy knitting that bonnet. It takes me like 1 to 2 days to finish them, which is super fast, great and easy, cute baby gift. So then I cast on my second son's, my 7-year-old, he's almost 8, his sweater, because it had been a couple of years and he was still wearing the sweater I had knit him last all the time. So he picked out yarn from Hobby Lobby, and this is the sweater. So this is the Flax Worsted by Tin Can Knits, and I apologize, I pulled it out of the dirty clothes pile, but luckily the orange stain is very similar to the variegated yarn. And what I did on this is I knit the first, well, I cast on in the contrasting color, and I'll give you the names for these. So this contrasting color is antique teal. I cast on in the antique teal and purled the first row of the ribbing. Then I switched to the variegated, which is called Emerald Pine. And the very first row I did with the variegated, I did all knits, and that way I wouldn't get the purl bumps. And then I continued with the knit one, purl one. So all the yoke of the sweater, top down, is all Emerald Pine. And then I split for the sleeves, and I did another couple of rows. I think I did 1, 2, maybe 3 rows more on the body before I switched back to the antique teal. And then when I picked up for the sleeves, I picked up with the variegated, knit 3 rows, and then switched to the solid. And on the sleeves, I didn't do any decreases until I got almost to the end. And then I did a couple, you can see the bump here. I did a couple of decreases, about 1 inch apart. And then I did a rapid decrease before the cuff. And I forgot to do the cuffs in knit 1, purl 1, which is what the collar was. I did knit 2, purl 2, which is like my standard that I'm used to doing. And I did the same thing where I switched to the solid again for the ends. And I also did that at the base. So I thought this turned out really nice. This is a size 8-10 of the Tin Can Knits Flax. This is actually the first time I've ever knit this, and it popped into my head when I was watching, I think it's Crazy for You. It's a Yarn Stores podcast. Really nice lady that she shares all kinds of yarns, and she'll show new patterns and things. And she was showing the top patterns on Ravelry, and she had started with like current top patterns, which are all, I guess, all petite knit mostly. I don't know, but then she did like of all time, and the flax was one of those for sure. And I just thought to myself, I've never actually knit a flax, and I've enjoyed what Tin Can Knits patterns I have knit, and I need an easy sweater pattern to get to knock this one out for my son, and it really worked out well. So this is all done. My only regret is I could have made the sleeves an inch longer. They're definitely long enough. It will definitely fit him this year, next year. But I think if I had made them another inch longer, I would get even another year out of them. But it fits very comfortably right now, and I can share a photo. So I don't know if you've ever knit one of these, but I did find the garter on the sleeves a little bit tedious. I was ready for that to be done. All right, so that is 1, 2, 3. Was it 4? 1, 2, 4, and 5. My socks that I finished. So these are socks for me, my go-to vanilla pattern. And last time I showed them, I was here at the starting the heel. This is Mystery Mouse yarn in the Sense and Sensibility color, which is an absolutely lovely yarn. I already knit a full-size adult pair out of this and gifted them to a friend. And I saw that I had about 46 grams still left. And I thought, if I weigh this carefully, I think I can get another pair of socks out of it. So I ended up, and here's the second sock. I ended up using the Berroco Vintage sock yarn. This is the first time I have used it for the heels, toes, and cuffs. And my friend Emily of Woldenburn gifted this to me in a sock yarn exchange. And I just kind of weighed the yarn as I went, and I would say I probably used 20% of what was left, then 30%, and then again 20%, 30% of the Mystery Mouse sock yarn. So I'll show you what I have left. So this is what I have left. I believe this was 40 or 50 grams left of the Berroco Vintage in the Rhubarb colorway. It is an absolutely gorgeous color. And this is all I have left of the Mystery Mouse. So I will say, and I don't know if it's just the twist of the different twists of the sock yarn base. Definitely it could have something to do with the fiber content, because the Berroco Vintage has a lot more, or has acrylic in it. But the Berroco Vintage has a halo. You can kind of see it here. Whereas the Mystery Mouse, I mean, it has a little bit of a halo, but not as noticeable to the naked eye. So I feel like the Vintage is a little more like furry, if that's a word, and the Mystery Mouse is more smooth. So, and I just love how she dyed this colorway. It's just so beautiful. It's soft, soft yellow and pink, and it looks great with the rhubarb. So I'm gonna enjoy these socks so much. I never used to be a sock person. I never wanted to learn how to knit socks, but I learned how to make slight adjustments, not hard, just lengthening my heel flap for my high arch. And hand knit socks are now my absolute favorite, and I cannot have enough. So especially when it has been cold, I have been wearing them every day, all over the place, and I love them. So I'm going to keep making myself socks and the rest of my family socks. So just keep rotating out the socks. But I have made very good use of my hand knit socks the past week when it was ultra cold here. Okay, so that was all of my finished objects. Let me show you the things I am working on. The first thing I'm going to show you is my Dancing Aurora jacket. This is a Drops Design pattern, and I thought it was brioche, but it turns out it is English rib, which is very similar, but I need to try brioche now to see how they are similar. I don't think I've ever really done a brioche pattern. I've done fisherman's rib, now I've done English rib. I don't know if they're the same thing and they just have different names. So if you know, let me know. Or if you have a really easy brioche pattern, maybe for like a headband or something, let me know, because I would like to try something that is labeled as a brioche to just see what the difference is. So this is out of Berroco Vintage in this colorway. It is 5195, and it is somewhat similar to the Rhubarb, but it has more white in it and it's kind of heathered. And I bought this at McKinney Knittery specifically to go with my Handspun. And this is what I have left of my skein of Handspun. Ta-da! It's a little knot. And this is the upside down of my sweater so far. So this is top down. This is the back of the neck, I guess. I don't want it to fall off the needles because that is a pain. So this is the back of the neck, and the main color is that Berroco Vintage, so that pink will be on the top, and then you can see the Handspun peeking through on the back. So here is a So this is not what I would say call like hard, but you do have to pay attention, and when you're setting it up, it is a very strange. So you set it up with the main color, and the first couple of rows are with the main color only, and then you add in the secondary color. And at first it looks really, really strange, and I kept looking at the picture to say, okay, if it's looking like this, it's okay. So mostly I've been going by looks, especially with the increases, the raglan increases on the arm. Let's see if I can show you those. So there's the raglan increases down here. This is the center. And there are also those same increases on the front to make it a V-neck. They just shoot off on the front here. And this, I just did the last increase for the V-neck. So I think I have 4 more increases for the arm. Now, Drops Design are notoriously not the easiest patterns to follow, and this one I would agree, this is not for a beginner, because it starts off with tons of what they call tips, and they're all written out in like paragraph form. So that it has the English rib, how to do it in a paragraph, and then a knitting tip about how to tell what color you're on. And basically, if the last stitch you see on your needle, whatever color it is, you're supposed to start with the next color. So this is my Handspun, so the next row I do would be in the main color. The other tip they gave you was how to count the increases. So they said that you should have on the front, so that you always increase looking at the front, and you always increase with the main color. And you would be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4. and then the increase goes right above that. So this is an increase stitch. I know this is difficult to see. So you'd be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's the increases. So a lot of the time I'm just going along and I'm like looking for those clues that, oh, look, here's where I start doing increases. And then the actual knitting of the sweater is like, do the English rib for this far and increase every, you know, this many times. So it's like a really short how to knit it, but then all the tips and the instructions on the stitch and the instructions for the V-neck are all separate, and you have to like piece them in. Not impossible, but this has definitely been I'm sitting in my knitting chair at home, the children are busy, and I can just work on this project because I don't want to have to rip it out. The idea of having to go back gives me hives and I don't think I could because there's so many yarn overs and switching back and forth with the yarn. I'm just trying to be immensely careful, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I love how the handspun side looks as well. And on Instagram, one of my Instagram friends asked if it would be reversible. And actually, I think if I pick up stitches very carefully so that they're very, very neat, when I put on the neck band and the arm bands and everything, I think I could wear it inside out. I don't see why not. One thing I'm a little worried about is I'm almost done with my first ball of handspun, and I still have 4 yoke increases to go. Now I think I do need to put this on a larger needle, and I need to just see how it's fitting me because I don't necessarily want the armholes to be super deep. Today I'm wearing my Acorn Trails sweater, and this one has nice, tight, close armholes, and I love this sweater. I feel like it fits me perfectly. This is an Amy Herzog sweater. You can see my dress sleeve poofing out in there, but that's okay. But the fit of this is just really nice and close fitting. And while I don't want this one to be like a skin tight sweater, I would rather it fit me than be extra baggy and me run out of yarn. So I'm going for fitting and not running out of yarn. Now the good thing is I still have plenty of the Berroco vintage, and all of the neck bands, button band, wrists, the base is all done with the Berroco vintage. So if I had to end the sleeves a little bit short, I could have like the puff, you know, the sleeve, and then have a longer cuff, because even this sweater has quite a long cuff, and I think that a long cuff on a sweater like this that's a little on the bulky side would also look good. But I've enjoyed knitting this. It has been a lot of fun. It's been good for my brain, and it's fun to learn new things, and I think it's very pretty. I'm very excited about getting to wear this. Oh wow, I just found a mistake. That's not getting fixed. Do you see that? It's right here. It's like there's a little piece of the handspun that comes and makes it look jogged. This stripe is jogged. I'm not fixing that. I don't even know how I would fix it. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how I would go back. And I'm not ripping it out. So anyways, this is very thick because it's like double knit, but it's also very like feels lightweight because it's such a loose gauge. And I'm knitting on size 6 needles. I think it says you can use size 8, but I'm already a very loose knitter, so I went ahead and used the size 6s, and I really like the fabric I'm getting. I don't feel like it's too loose or too tight. So I'm just gonna stick with that. So exciting. And that is the Dancing Aurora jacket. And I did do a Instagram search of the hashtag, and I saw one other person had knit this on Instagram, and it was absolutely gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. Yeah, it's just really fun and interesting, and I love using my Handspun. The next project I'm going to show you today is my Battenberg blanket, and I did not show it last time because I hadn't been working on it very much, but during this last cold spell we had, I found myself, sitting in the living room with the kids and having my basket of Battenberg right there, and it was easy to pull out and work on, so I put some extra squares in it, and now I'm going to show you. So this is my Battenberg blanket basket, and I am using leftovers of Knit Picks Swish Sport, not Swish. What is it called? Oh, it's the Knit Picks Brava Sport. And I had made my daughter a sweater out of this yarn, and I had planned to make my second daughter a sweater also, but by the time I got around to thinking about making it, she already fit into my older daughter's sweater, and my older daughter didn't want another one, so I had leftovers. So I had this like olivey color, I'm not sure what that color name is, and this purple, a dove heather, this teal color, and a light purple. There it is, a very light purple. So those are the Brava. And then I also had these Snowdrop Hobby Lobby yarns in this purple and green colorway and this yellow and green colorway in purple too. And so I just decided I'm going to use up all of these extras, and I ended up ordering more. I couldn't get the Hobby Lobby yarn. I don't need it because I am just like sprinkling that one in, but I needed more Dove Heather, definitely. And then I ended up buying one more skein of the dark purple, the dark teal, and this light purple, which I'm kind of using as a contrasting color to the Dove Heather just to make it look scrappy. I'm not following any kind of pattern placement on this Battenberg. I am just trying not to put too many of the same color near each other. So like I probably wouldn't put a third teal, on this combination. But maybe I would, because I'm trying to make it look scrappy. I'm just trying not to put them too many, like not have like a pooling of one kind. So I'll get up and show you the whole thing, how far I've gotten. So this is how big it is now. It's quite big. So I'm hoping to do about another big half to this. It is going to be like a lap blanket, not for a bed, and I want it to be on this sofa over here. That orange blanket, zigzag blanket, is older than I am. My mom made that when she was in the hospital having my older sister. So she was in the hospital, I think, a week, and she made use of it by crocheting an afghan. But we're not going to get rid of that blanket, but I think I wanted something a little bit different color to go with this room. And I think this is really fun. So a few changes I made to the Battenberg is I added an extra round to each round. I am using the Dove Heather as all the solid background color, but I am mixing in this light purple and then sometimes that light teal color instead of a Dove Heather, just for a little pizzazz.
I am crocheting over many of my ends, but not all of them. So this is a join as you go blanket pattern, but like definitely like the center ends. I don't crochet over those completely. I think I could. But I'm gonna have a weaving in project and I don't really mind. I like weaving in ends when it's like, that's what I'm doing now. I'm just weaving in ends. But I really, really do love the way this is turning out. I have always wanted to crochet a Battenberg blanket. I think that they're very pretty. And I like the way that they are a closed granny square. I like that the holes are fewer, and I like the kind of pattern it makes on the blanket. So this has been a lot of fun, and I'm going to keep slowly working on it. I have all of those Hobby Lobby yarns already crocheted into squares, and then I've pretty much run out of all of the Knit Picks squares that I had pre-made. So now I'm making them kind of as I go. So I'll probably do another round of just making a ton of squares. And the way I did this is I left them like tied together. So I didn't cut the yarn in between squares. I just kept going. And now they're all in a big knot, but now I just cut them apart when I'm using them, so it doesn't matter. But that made it easy to take it in the car, take it on the go. I didn't need scissors with me. I just would like tie it off and then do the next one. So yeah, so that's how that is going. All right, I have one more work in progress. Can you believe it? And it's socks, because I always have to have an easy sock on the go. And since I just finished socks for me, I am circling back to my eldest daughter to make her socks. She is 15, and she chose some of the oldest sock yarn in my stash. I pulled out practically everything except for a few skeins that I'm like, those are mine. And she ended up choosing this sock ease that I bought from Joann's ages and ages ago when they were discontinuing it. I mean, it might have been 10, 12, 14 years ago. I don't know. But the very first pair of socks I knit were out of sock ease for my husband and out of the same like stash that I had bought when I bought these. So that was a very long time ago. So she chose these two colors, which are, this is called Toffee, and I don't know why, because it's gray and orange. And I don't know why that is toffee. I think of toffee as more like a caramel, like this is more toffee. And this maybe has like a little bit of that gold in it, but it's gray. And this one is called Red Hots. I can definitely see Red Hots, but I think they're even more red than this. This is very orange. But she chose these two, and she said, can I have heels, toes, and cuffs out of this one, and the main sock out of this? And she thought that they would look good for Halloween. So, okay, so here we go. So I've done the first cuff, and then I did 50 leg stitches, or 50 rows. This is kind of the length I've been liking my socks, like not super short, but also not like up your leg long. I feel like this is a good like in between length. And I did do a 2x2 rib. And then for the leg of the sock, I'm doing knit 3, purl 1, broken rib. So there's one complete round of all knits, and then the next round is knit 3, purl 1, knit 3, purl 1. And it's one of my favorite sock textures because it gives you that like ribbing stretch,
but you don't feel like you're constantly purling. So one of my favorites. I thought it would look good with this colorway. I think it does. Nice and stretchy, and I'm on the heel with that orange. And I think she did good. I think they go together well. I think it's going to be a fun pair of socks, and I will definitely have leftovers for either a future sock yarn blanket or more Halloween socks for somebody else, because somebody else will see them and wants them. So, but this is what I always take in the car. I take when I'm going to be sitting at the orthodontist, anywhere I want to take my knitting, but I don't want to like have my lap covered in a blanket or something. So I always have to have an easy sock. So this is that for now. And both of these skeins had mega yarn barf out of the center of them because I don't rewind my skeins. So I've been trying to use up the yarn barf first. Okay, I do have another whip. I apologize. So this is my husband's sweater, and I wanted to show you the bin I've been keeping it in. I think this was just like from Walmart a long time ago. It's a Sterilite bin, and I ended up putting it in this because my Fair Isle colors were getting tangled so much in just a bag because they were rolling around a little bit. And in this, they don't roll around as much. And this is my music practice project. So this goes to orchestra rehearsals, piano practice, piano lessons, anywhere I'm going to be sitting for an hour or more and nobody's talking to me and I'm just sitting there. So this is what goes with me those places. And I have made quite a bit of progress. So this pattern is from the Knitting Workshop by Elizabeth Zimmerman, and it is called Stu's Fair Isle Vest. I have done a lot of modifications. I'm not doing all of the Fair Isle patterns, and I did do a swatch and then cast on based off of how many stitches I had and how big I wanted it to be. And then my swatch was wrong, and I tore the whole thing out, and I started over. So I did not follow the pattern exactly, but this is where it's from. So, and I showed you all the colors last time, so I'm not going to list them all again, but here they are all neatly living in my bin. I'm knitting these on size 3 Knitter's Pride Zing needles, which are honestly my favorite needles. I like them better than Chalgoose even. I can't explain why, I just do. And I have gotten, ta-da, this much done. So I think, I don't know how many more. I'm gonna have to hold it up to my husband. I might have like a hand's worth, like my hand or my head more of body of the sweater, and then I will be splitting for the armhole openings. I haven't decided yet if I'm steeking or if I'm just knitting back and forth. I really don't know. I probably should steek it, but it's really, really frightens me. I've never done it before. So, but this is so lovely. This is Holst Garn, super soft. The colors will bloom when I wash them, and the yarn, it won't look as like holy or like loosey-goosey, I guess. And I do like how the different patterns look on the different backgrounds. So what I'm doing is I'm always doing the X's in brown, and I'm always doing the zigzag in green and the XOs in blue. But I am rotating the two background colors. So as you can see here, the zigzags are on the light color, but up here they're on the dark color and you can barely see them. I think in person, you know, when I'm looking at it, I can see them. But I think it makes it look like there are many more common like patterns here than just the one or just the three. So it kind of is like fooling the eye. I do like the way these like chunky X's look on both colors. I like the way the blue looks on both colors. They really stand out on the light color, but I really like them on the darker color as well. So this is going to be my husband's kind of like broody man cave Fair Isle vest. You know, reading a book, listening to records vest. But he'll probably wear it to church too, and I think it's fun that like this kind of style has come back, and hopefully I can finish it in time before the style is no longer cool, but I think we're not cool anyways, so he'll still wear it. So that has been a lot of fun to work on, and it again is one of those projects that I like to have like kind of quiet and just work on it. That's why the piano lessons and the orchestra practice and those types of places have been where I work on that, and it helps me, you know, keep all of the projects going when I have certain things that get worked on in certain places. So that was all of my works in progress. I have been really enjoying knitting. I did want to share a resource with you that I used when I was finishing the Preston pullover for my son, the green sweater. And that is this cast on bind off book. And it is a spiral bound like mini resource. It's not a huge book. And it's by Leslie Ann Bester. This has all different ways. It says 54 methods for casting on and binding off. And I used a new to me method for binding off the shawl collar so that it was stretchy. And I know that you can just Google or YouTube and find a cast on or a bind off method. I know I can do that. But there's just something really nice about knowing that like I have this resource in my library and I can pull it out and it's really well done. So here's the intro page for the basic bind offs, and it shows you what they look like. So you can kind of decide like, what do I want my bind off to look like? And then it has stretchy bind offs and tight bind offs where you want to like have the stitches like open up, things for ribbing, all kinds of things. So plus different cast ons. I have primarily used the bind off section, but I will say if you ever invest in like a knitting resource that's not just patterns, this is a great one. So really love it. Highly recommend. So I said I was going to talk about my 2024 stats. I thought about doing state of the stash. I have zero time. I've talked about this before. I'm homeschooling 4 children, like 2nd grade through sophomore in high school. And it's great. I am enjoying my life, but I have very minimal time for planning and doing YouTube videos. I just really want to talk to you all and share the things that I'm knitting and hear from all of you. So I do want to share my 2024 statistics. I will try to pop in a few photos, but this is going to be a very brief overview of how the year ended for me and how I felt about my yarn stash by the end, and how my finished projects you know, kind of came together. So I ended up having finished 25 projects, and that is counting the little bears I knit, like the bear separate from their outfits. So I kind of counted the bear as a project and the outfit as a project. So if you don't count that, then I finished 23 projects. But either way, totally fun. 8 of those finished projects were pairs of socks. 4 of them were sweaters or vests. 4 of those projects were blankets. I believe majority of those were crocheted. 3 were hats. 2 were accessories, mittens, cowls, and scarves. And 4 of those were toys / toy clothes, which is those bears. So it wasn't a hugely productive year because basically I finished 2 projects a month, which is great. I love that. But I still feel like I was moving in the right direction and enjoyed everything I made. Enjoyed giving away so many things. Have made some things for myself that I really loved. And so then overall, the yarn in, yarn out, I feel like I did pretty well. I purchased yarn in September, I think. No. I purchased yarn in August because that is when I went to McKinney Knittery, but that was kind of my Fiber Fest for the year because I didn't go to DFW Fiber Fest. So I purchased 500 grams of yarn in September. And then, August. September, I brought in nothing. October, I brought in nothing. November, nothing. And December, 1,250 grams of yarn. So this is not all my fault. So I received a gift from the lovely Holly of Mystery Mouse Yarn of 200 grams of yarn, which I will be showing you when I make a project out of it. I had my Knit Picks order, which had 950 grams, and that included both those Brava Sports. I got some Stroll sock yarn, and I got a skein of lace yarn that I'm hoping to make like a chapel veil with. I don't know if that'll work, but I'm going to try it. And then my lovely friend Liz gifted me 100 gram freckled whimsy Christmas sock sets. Like, I could not believe it. So Liz, if you're watching, I love it, and that is going to be my Christmas socks this coming year. I'm saving it. So December was kind of a crazy blowout, but let's go back to August. And in August, I brought in all that yarn, and guess what? I finished nothing. My August was a complete and total nothing burger. And that's okay. I think it's because I was really prepping to get ready for the school year and trying to start strong with my kids, and it just, nothing happened. So there you go. September, I finished the little blue truck socks for my son, and I finished the blue baby sweater for Anna Knitter. So that was just a little bit of yarn out. I used 138 grams. Then in October, I finished those Opal Robin socks with 54 grams of yarn, and I finished a flower baby blanket for my goddaughter. I don't know if I showed you all this because I wasn't filming, but I'm gonna include a picture of it. It was a pink and white baby blanket, all from Stash. So that was 575 grams from Stash that I finished in October. November was also a nothing burger. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I brought nothing in and I finished nothing.
and that's fine. That's the way it was. And in December, I only finished my Christmas socks, which was 81 grams of Handspun, and my mitts for my daughter's piano teacher, 34 grams for those mittens. So for the whole year, I brought in, from things I purchased and things that, yarns that were gifted to me or like handed down to me, all yarn that came in was 4,637 grams. So that's basically 4,600 gram skeins. So I used over the whole year 5,394 grams. So I'm going to round that to 54 100 gram skeins. And then the difference was 757 skeins of yarn. So, or 757 grams. So that's basically 7.5 skeins. I'm in the negative. So that's good. So even though I brought in a lot of yarn, I sent out on its way more than I brought in, and I feel good about that. I feel like that was excellent, and we'll see what happens this year because I'm still keeping track of what I am using. And for example, in January, I finished more things than yarn I purchased. And so for February, I also did, because I purchased no yarn, and I finished the flax sweater and those Sense and Sensibility socks. So I'm already way ahead for the year. So I feel great about that. I definitely keep my yarn buying to just occasionally, like I'll need things for a baby blanket or something, but I mostly save yarn buying for like experience yarn buying, going to the yarn store with a friend, or DFW Fiber Fest or something like that. I don't, yarn shop online a whole lot unless I have a very specific idea of something I need to make that I can't like sub in something I already have. So doing pretty good. I hope you all are doing great. I know this was a long episode. Thank you for sticking with me. Life-wise, we are doing great. We had some rough patches in February. Pretty much all of my kids got sick, and my littlest guy had walking pneumonia and a double ear infection, just like it hit him so hard. And everybody else kind of had the same thing, but recovered much quicker. But they were still, sick. So we had like 2 weeks of illness in February with also 2 of my kids are in a robotics club. We had the robotics competition like wedged in there. Like one person was sick, got better, robotics competition, get home, next person is sick. So not fun. My husband went on a trip because one of his students made All-State, and they send the teachers down when they go to All-State in San Antonio. So he was gone for about 5 days, and one of our chickens was eaten while he was away, and it was in the morning in daylight, and I don't know what got it, but they left a lot of feathers but no chicken. So that was really sad because it was one of my favorite chickens, but that also happened in February. But overall we're good. I think I just, keep rolling to the next thing. Like, what's the next thing I have to do? What's the next thing we need to figure out? And we just keep going. So right now we are trying to get back in the swing of school after being sick, and
I think when I started homeschooling, I thought we're going to be able to keep homeschooling really well, even if we're sick. We don't have to take a day off. And I'm going to say that that's not necessarily true because it's very emotionally stressful when someone is sick, and everybody in the family is like emotionally sympathetic to the sick person. So they're all sick together, and you end up having to be creative about how you get your schoolwork done. So I did a lot of like shortening lessons or not assigning everything for every day. But now that everyone is healthy, we are kicking it back into high gear so we do not get too far behind, because the worst thing ever is having to do school all summer. When you go to public school, and I used to teach school, you just kind of say, okay, we're ending this book and you guys all get to move to the next grade. With homeschool, I don't usually do that. I usually try to get us to finish our curriculum. So it's, every year is a little different. And some things we can say pause and we'll restart it in the fall. And other things, it's like you have to finish this so that you can start the next thing in the fall. So anyways, that's my story, and I'm glad to talk to you all. I hope you all are well. I hope it's warming up where you live. My daffodils are coming up and they make me so happy. And I know daffodils do not come up in February for most people, but ours were delayed because of this huge cold that we got. And I had to cover all of my greens and little buds that had come up with buckets and leaves, trying to save them from the extreme cold we had. And I uncovered them all today because it's nice and warm and they all look great. So they're going to start blooming this week, and I am beyond excited to see that. So gardening time is upon us, and I just love the seasons and getting to live through them every year. So I'll talk to you all later. Happy knitting. I hope you got a lot done on your project while you hung out with me today. So